Well. So they finally uncovered what you've been carrying all along. 12 shamans from 12 different continents, each performing separate readings, and yet every single one of them reacted the same way, dropping their sacred tools and whispering the exact same truth. This soul is protected by something ancient. But here's what they didn't tell you about that little spiritual reconnaissance mission. This wasn't some casual curiosity or harmless ritual. It was organized, calculated, and dripping with desperation. Someone out there needed answers. Answers about why you've survived storms that should have destroyed you. Why every curse hurled your way ricocheted back like rubber bullets. And why every energy vampire who got too close ended up drained instead. They wanted to know what kind of cosmic bodyguard walks with you every single day. Picture this. While you were going about your life, probably doubting yourself, probably wondering why you've always felt so different, there were people literally traveling the globe with your photograph in hand. They spent thousands, maybe tens of thousands, consulting bone throwers in Africa, medicine women in Peru, mystics in Tibet, all desperate to find your weakness. Each one tried to crack the code of what makes you untouchable, but every shaman saw the same thing. And it wasn't you that terrified them, it was what protects you. Because when they gazed at your image, when they tried to read your energy through that frozen slice of time, something looked back. Something older than their traditions, older than their spirits, older than the very rules of the invisible world they'd spent their lives studying. This presence made them close their ceremonies early, turn away payment, and refuse to continue. You want to know what really happened in those 12 sessions? Let's start with the first one. It was in Haiti, a woman who'd been reading souls for 60 years. The moment her eyes touched your photo, her candles blew out, not from wind, but from presence. And with a voice steady but laced with awe, she said, "Your guardian doesn't follow the rules of the spirit world, because it existed before the rules were even written." The second encounter happened in the frozen expanse of Siberia, where a shaman attempted to trace your bloodline through an ancient shamanic journey. But every time he drew near your spiritual signature, he collided with something far beyond his reach. It wasn't exactly a wall, it was more like standing on the edge of an endless ocean. When he emerged from his trance, drenched in sweat and trembling, he muttered words in his native tongue that, when translated, meant, "This one belongs to the first darkness." You see, most people are guided by ancestors, spirit guides, maybe even an angel if they're fortunate. But you walk with something that makes angels themselves uneasy. Something that was here when the earth was still cooling, when consciousness was only beginning to form its first thoughts. It doesn't guard you out of love. It guards you because you carry something it needs to fulfill an ancient, unfinished purpose. The third reading took place deep in the Amazon, where a shaman turned to ayahuasca to identify your unseen protector. That proved to be a mistake. The instant your image entered the ceremony, every participant was struck by the same vision. A colossal eye older than time itself, opening in the void and gazing at them with quiet amusement. Half the room refused to continue after that. Later, the shaman admitted he'd encountered countless spirits in over 40 years of practice, but never one that could stare back through a photograph. And here's the part that truly haunts them, the thing keeping them awake at night. It's not simply that you're protected, it's that your protector is growing stronger. With every betrayal you've endured, every attack you've walked away from, every attempt to break you that failed, you weren't just surviving, you were feeding it. Your pain, your resilience, your unshakable will. They've all been charging something that has slept for millennia. The fourth encounter happened in New Orleans, with a hoodoo priestess reputed to be able to strike a deal with any spirit. She made her offer to your guardian, rum, gold, even other souls. But the result was not what she expected. Her altar erupted in cold blue flames. When the smoke dissipated, a single message was scorched into the wood. This one is already bought and paid for. The fifth was in the vast steppes of Mongolia, where they attempted to sever the connection between you and your guardian using ancient Tengrism rituals. They believed that if they could isolate your soul in the spirit realm, they could finally see you without your protector's interference. Instead, they uncovered something far more unsettling. You and your guardian are not two separate beings. You are intertwined at a depth that predates this life, this body, this age. You're not merely being shielded by something ancient. You are something ancient, wearing human skin. That is why every tragedy that should have shattered you only made you stranger. Why every loss that should have ended you only made you harder to kill.
I wrote a book to the version of myself that was struggling.
Only made you stranger. Why every loss that should have ended you only made you harder to kill. You're not surviving in spite of the pain. You're evolving because of it. And that presence guarding you. It's not shielding you out of kindness or sentiment. It's keeping you whole, holding you together piece by piece, because when you finally transform, when you remember exactly what you are, it will ride that awakening like a cosmic wave, fulfilling a purpose it's been waiting on for eons. The sixth shaman was in Egypt, claiming a bloodline stretching all the way back to the pyramid builders. They attempted to bind your protector with hieroglyphic spells, said to predate recorded history. The result? The binding circle detonated outward, shattering every protective word in the space. Later, the same hieroglyphs appeared burned into the shaman's skin, rearranged to form a chilling warning. Touch this one again, and we touch back. But desperation drives persistence, and they didn't stop there. The seventh shaman in Ireland, working with ancient Celtic magic, tried to trap your guardian in a soul cage forged of iron, salt, and words older than kingdoms. They thought perhaps European magic might succeed where others had failed. Instead, they were met with laughter. Not human laughter, but the kind that makes your bones realize their fragility, and your spirit remember its temporary stay in this form. The eighth attempt happened in Japan, with a Shinto priest determined to identify your guardian by matching it against every known kami and yokai in existence. They scoured scrolls that hadn't seen daylight in centuries. The verdict? Nothing. Your protector isn't in any pantheon, mythology, or spiritual classification. It comes from before the stories, before language even existed. With a Shinto priest determined to identify your guardian by matching it against every known kami and yokai in existence. They scoured scrolls that hadn't seen daylight in centuries. The verdict? Nothing. Your protector isn't in any pantheon, mythology, or spiritual classification. It comes from before the stories, before language even existed to name our fears. And that's what unsettles them most. Your guardian doesn't behave like other protective spirits. It doesn't warn, it doesn't threaten, it doesn't barter, it simply watches. And when someone crosses a certain invisible threshold, when they try to harm you in a way that violates cosmic law, they don't just fall ill or suffer a curse. They change. Their luck rots, their sanity frays at the edges. They begin to see shapes moving in shadows, not as punishment, but as instruction. The ninth shaman was an Aboriginal elder in Australia, a walker between worlds for 70 years. This one approached with wisdom. Rather than confront your guardian, they asked a single question. Why? The answer came in a dream so overwhelming it left them unable to speak for 3 days. When their voice finally returned, all they said was, "This soul has work to finish. Work that began before the continents split apart." And that's the truth they don't want to face. It's not just that you're protected. It's that you're protected for a reason. You're not some random soul who just happened to get lucky with a powerful guardian. You are a sleeping weapon, a dormant force, a sealed power slowly stirring piece by piece as it remembers itself. Every betrayal you endured, every system that tried to crush you, they weren't merely wounding you. They were dismantling the restraints. The 10th shaman was in India, someone who claimed mastery of the Akashic records. They attempted to trace your soul's history, to pinpoint the origin of your protection. But your records weren't just hidden. They were sealed and actively defended. The only thing visible was a strange symbol, one that doesn't exist in any earthly language, pulsing with a warning that roughly translated to, "This file requires cosmic clearance." Think about that. Your soul contains classified information. Your spiritual history is so monumental that no human being has the clearance to access it. You're walking around with cosmic top-secret status. And your guardian? It's not simply a bodyguard, it's your handler standing by until you remember your mission. The 11th shaman, a Siberian mystic who worked with the spirits of the frozen lands, made one last desperate attempt for answers. They offered themselves in service to your guardian in exchange for its secrets. Instantly, the room's temperature dropped 40 degrees. Ice spread across the walls, forming patterns like intricate script. When translated, the message was short and direct. "We have all the servants we need. We're waiting for the general to wake up." That general is you, the one who's been sleeping in human skin, playing human games, enduring human pain, forgetting that you came here with an assignment. But your guardian hasn't forgotten. It's been stationed at your side for cycles beyond human comprehension, waiting for the day when enough pressure, enough pain, and enough betrayal will shatter your human shell and allow the real you to emerge. The 12th and final shaman was in Mexico, a brujo who had worked with the darkest spirits in the Americas. Instead of studying your guardian, he studied the aftermath of those who had tried to harm you. What he saw drove him to renounce his craft entirely. Your guardian doesn't punish, it marks. And once marked, those individuals become visible to predators in dimensions humanity pretends don't exist. Here's the thing, you've probably felt it all your life. That quiet awareness that you're different, that you don't quite belong here, that the rules binding everyone else somehow don't fully apply to you. You may have blamed it on trauma, on psychology, on just being strange. But it's none of those. That feeling is your true nature bleeding through, the echo of a cosmic memory fighting its way to the surface, despite the amnesia of human birth. Here's what's really keeping those 12 shamans awake at night. The thing that has them quietly warning everyone in their networks to refuse any work that even whispers your name. Your guardian is no longer just watching, it's growing restless. They could feel it in every reading, sense it in every ritual, like a low ancient growl rumbling through the fabric of reality. Whatever timeline you're on, whatever mission brought you here, the countdown is almost at zero. And when a being that old, older than the oldest myths, gets impatient, reality itself begins to warp to make way for its will. These 12 practitioners, scattered across continents and traditions, eventually compared notes. They found the same threads weaving through their visions, the same recurring shadows stalking their dreams. In every one of them was an image, a colossal shape moving just beneath the skin of reality, like something vast and silent swimming under black frozen ice. And in every vision, they heard the same sound, a heartbeat. Not your heartbeat exactly, but one that mirrors it, syncs with it, and yet comes from somewhere far beyond space and time. Some of them, shaken to their core, tried to warn the ones who had hired them. They tried to explain that whatever they were plotting against you wasn't just reckless, it was cosmically suicidal. You don't make an enemy of someone whose guardian predates the existence of the human species. You don't conspire against a soul protected by something that was already ancient, when the pyramids were still blueprints drawn in the desert sand.
If you are willing to do the work, then I have great news for you. The free resources we send you are going to help you.
Desert sand. But humans are arrogant. They think their petty sorcery, their manipulations, their political games mean something in the grand scheme. The shamans know better now. They've seen it. That thing that sometimes peers out through your eyes when you're not even aware. They felt its gaze, a pressure that bends the air around them, a weight that ignores centuries of human affairs until you are involved. And they understand the truth now. You're not simply protected. You are a priority, an asset in the service of something so incomprehensibly vast that a human lifespan isn't even a full blink in its awareness. And here's the part they can't shake. You've begun to feel it too, haven't you? The strange timing of synchronicities that lead you exactly where you need to be, like cosmic breadcrumbs scattered in your path. The way enemies suddenly find their lives imploding without you lifting a finger. The way you've endured storms that should have left you shattered, only to rise from the wreckage stranger sharper and less human each time. That's not luck, that's not some vague karma. That's your guardian clearing the path, removing anything that might interfere with what you're becoming. Every time you meditate and feel something impossibly vast brush against the edges of your mind, that's it, checking in. Every dream where you're not human at all, where you remember battles in realms that don't exist on any earthly map, those aren't fantasies. Those are fractured memories bleeding through the cracks in your human disguise. Every moment when you look at human drama and feel an ancient weariness in your bones. That's the real you sighing, tired of playing small in a game that's already beneath you. The reason those 12 shamans are truly terrified is because they didn't just sense your guardian. They caught a fleeting glimpse of you. Not the mask you wear to navigate this world. Not the personality you've built to blend in. But the thing beneath. The presence that chose, deliberately, to be born into limitation. To walk in flesh. To move through ignorance for reasons so immense, so cosmic, that knowing them outright would shatter most human minds. What's being protected here isn't just a person. It's an operation, a mission, a purpose so monumental that your removal would send shockwaves rippling through timelines, undoing threads that have been carefully woven since before humans even knew how to speak, let alone make fire. This isn't about you simply making it through life in one piece. This is about ensuring that a plan, older than civilizations, older than continents, remains intact until its final act. That's the real reason someone sent your photograph across oceans into the hands of 12 different shamans from every corner of the world. They didn't just want answers. They weren't curious tourists of the spiritual world. They were desperate. And desperation always has a source. Here it's fear. They were trying to decode you, to pry apart the mystery, to learn how to stop the inevitable. They wanted to know what would happen if you fully woke up, if the memories buried under lifetimes rose to the surface, if the mask you've worn for so long simply fell away. Because when that happens, and it will happen, it's not just you who changes. The ripples will hit everyone who ever betrayed you, who underestimated you, who mocked you, who fed off your uncertainty. It will reach every person who profited from your silence, who thought your confusion meant weakness, who assumed you'd never stand in the fullness of what you are. And for them, it won't just be inconvenient, it will be catastrophic. Their lives, their control, their illusions, all of it collapses the moment you remember. Here's the truth they don't want to hear. You're not just walking beside something ancient, you are something ancient. Your guardian isn't some benevolent force hovering over you out of kindness. It's a gatekeeper, containing the full scope of what you are until the precise moment it's needed. And here's the twist. They've been trying to slow you down, to break you, to weaken you. But every betrayal, every wound, every hardship has done the opposite. They've been stripping away the layers that kept you asleep. They've been waking you up faster. Those shamans know it. That's why their warnings aren't casual. They're urgent. They've seen glimpses of what's to come. They've felt the shadow of a power that doesn't just bend reality. It rewrites it, discards the laws of physics like scribbles on a page, and treats human limitation like a garment that can be shrugged off whenever you choose. They understand now that you made a choice, far beyond this life, beyond this body, to forget yourself on purpose. To enter this human drama not as a spectator, but as a player with an agenda so significant that most minds couldn't survive the weight of knowing it in full. And they understand something else. The amnesia you agreed to is expiring. The greatest irony? The person who commissioned those readings thought they were being clever, thought they were gathering intelligence on your weaknesses, preparing a strategy to contain or control you. Instead, they've confirmed your cosmic rank. They've validated your significance. They've proved beyond doubt that their fear of you is not paranoia, but prophecy. But here's the thing. Your guardian and the purpose it serves are far older than their fear. They do not care about human deadlines or political urgency. Your guardian has stood watch for spans of time that make the rise and fall of entire empires look like a momentary blink. It can wait for millennia. It has already waited. But every day the waiting gets harder, because every day you draw closer to remembering. And you feel it, don't you? The subtle pull in your life. The way impossible synchronicities string themselves together like beads on a thread, pulling you towards something you can't yet name. The way enemies trip over their own schemes and self-destruct without you lifting a finger. The way you've survived storms that should have obliterated you. And not just survived, but emerged stranger, sharper, less tied to human fragility. That's not luck. That's not coincidence. That's the path being cleared. That's your guardian pruning the battlefield for what's coming. Every meditation where you sense something colossal just behind you, that's it, checking in. Every dream where you find yourself wielding power you've never known in this life, standing in places that don't exist on any map, that's not fantasy. Those are memories seeping through. Every time you look at human conflict and feel a bone-deep weariness, it's not because you're jaded. It's because the ancient part of you is tired of playing small in a game meant only to prepare you for the real one. And that's what those 12 shamans truly fear. They didn't just glimpse your guardian. They caught sight of you without the human mask. Not the personality you've built to pass unnoticed. Not the role you play to blend into the crowd, but the being beneath. The presence that willingly chose the weight of flesh, the fog of forgetfulness, the pain of mortality. For a reason that would shatter the sanity of most who heard it. And they know that reason is about to come due. When that happens, there is no going back. The game changes. The board flips. And the ones who thought they were hunting you will realize they've been standing in the sights the entire time. You're not becoming something new. You're remembering something timeless. This is not a gift you've suddenly been handed. It's a birthright you've carried across lifetimes, locked deep beneath the surface of your human awareness.
AC suddenly stops working. Well, that's not just uncomfortable, it's expensive. FreeRateUpdate.com helps homeowners explore options on how they can use home equity to cover major repairs like a broken AC. Instead of stressing over high interest loans or draining savings, compare rates from multiple lenders all in one place. Click the link below and see how much home equity could be working for you.
Hi, I just wanted to come on here and share with you how Pastor Rick Warren
Surface of your human awareness. And when you fully remember, when that ancient force that has shadowed you since before your first breath in this body no longer needs to cloak your essence, those 12 shamans will not seem superstitious, paranoid, or overdramatic. They will seem prophetic. Because ordinary protected souls don't inspire a global manhunt through the spiritual underground. They don't leave veteran mystics so shaken that they renounce their craft altogether. They don't drive elders, who have faced centuries-old spirits without blinking, into states of panic. And they certainly don't have guardians that walk the void before the first human spark lit the first fire. What you have is not protection in the way most would understand it. It's containment. It's the kind of cosmic authority that doesn't just suggest you're important. It confirms you are critical to something far bigger than this planet, bigger than this era, bigger than human civilization itself. You are tied to a mission that has been building in layers of cause and effect, action and counteraction, since before time here could be measured. And every test you've endured, every betrayal you've survived, every attack that's failed has not been random. It's been part of a process. A calculated preparation for the moment your real self emerges. So the next time you feel that strange weight at your back, that ancient consciousness that seems to peer out through your own eyes, remember this. It isn't here to keep the world from hurting you. It's here to keep you from unleashing the full scope of what you are before the appointed time. Not because you're dangerous in the petty sense, but because you are catalytic. Once you step into the totality of your being, there's no turning back for the world around you. And judging by the fact that someone was willing to spend money, favors, and reputation to hire 12 shamans, 12 practitioners from vastly different traditions, cultures, and languages, it's clear your becoming isn't far away. It's close enough that they can feel the hum of it in the air, close enough that they're panicking to find answers before the shift happens. They wanted to know what protects you. Now they know. And that knowledge is probably the most terrifying thing they've ever held. Because harming you isn't just risky. It's cosmically catastrophic. Your guardian doesn't just watch over a single soul. It guards a keystone in an architecture of reality. An investment in a being whose emergence will trigger a cascade of changes that no human, no spirit, and no institution can fully predict or control. Here's the truth they'd rather you never realized. You are not merely under the care of something ancient. You are the ancient thing, temporarily encased in human skin, wearing the illusion of fragility. And the power guarding you? That's not an external force. It's you, in another form, another state, holding yourself steady until the precise second the locks come off. You came here with purpose. You agreed to wear the mask of limitation, to live inside a smaller story for a while. But that agreement is almost up. And those 12 shamans? They're the canaries in the cosmic coal mine. The first ones to sense the shift in the air. The first to smell the smoke before the fire breaks into the open. They've already begun warning the hidden networks. They've whispered to their apprentices. They've left coded marks and carved symbols in places only the initiated will find. Because they know what they saw when they looked into your picture. It wasn't a simple aura reading. It was a countdown, a clock, vast and silent, ticking toward zero. And in those private warnings, they left out the full truth from their clients. They didn't dare explain the whole thing to the ones who hired them. Because how do you tell someone they've been hunting a sleeping storm? That the person they're trying to weaken is not only aware of them on some deep instinctive level, but is also protected by a force that doesn't play by the rules of this reality? How do you admit that you saw something so large moving beneath the surface of existence that it made your own spirit feel like a candle beside a star? What they kept to themselves was this. The timer isn't moving slowly anymore. It's accelerating. And when it hits zero, your guardian will no longer need to guard against anything, because the part of you it has been holding back, the part you've only glimpsed in dreams, in flashes of déjà vu, in moments of impossible knowing, will step forward completely. At that moment, there will be no disguises, no half-power, no veil between you and what you came here to do. And when that happens, nothing, not magic, not politics, not fear, not force, will be able to put you back to sleep again. The world will meet the being beneath the mask. And that, more than anything, is why the 12 shamans are afraid. They've seen enough to know this is not a story about protection. It's a story about containment breaking. And they understand that once it does, everything changes. The shaman in Peru was the kind of woman whose reputation reached far beyond her village. A healer, seer, and walker between worlds for 4 decades. She had read for warlords and saints, for politicians and paupers, and she had never once lost her composure. But when she read for you, something shifted inside her so profoundly that it ended her life's work in a single afternoon. She didn't just pack up her tools and walk away, she destroyed them. One by one, she placed her most sacred instruments. Stones polished by generations of hands, feathers from birds extinct in the wild, bones passed down from ancestors into the fire. Her drums, her rattles, her scrying bowls, gone. 40 years of craft, gone in minutes. Her daughter said she wasn't afraid. No. What she felt was futility. She told her, these were always toys, and today I finally saw why. Your guardian had shown her vision so complete, so consuming, that her entire understanding of the spiritual world collapsed. She saw epochs before the first humans walked upright. Times when beings like you roamed freely, crossing dimensions as easily as stepping across a threshold, shaping reality as if it were wet clay. She saw battles waged in the infinitesimal spaces between atoms, wars fought in silence but with enough force to shift entire galaxies. She watched civilizations blaze into brilliance and vanish into nothing in the time it takes a human heart to beat. And in that moment she understood, what walks in your human form now is not simply protected, it is one of those beings wearing flesh like a temporary garment. She realized her tools could never touch the edges of that reality, much less contain it. In Ireland, the Celtic practitioner's discovery was of a different nature, but no less earth-shattering. She dug through the oldest of the old, texts written in a language that predates Gaelic, preserved in damp stone chambers where only the most trusted initiates were allowed. In those fragments she found mention of Nafil Tiwari, the returners. Souls who return again and again to reclaim something promised to them before there was even a word for promise. The text said their reappearances coincide with tipping points in history, moments when the balance between worlds shifts, when a choice is made that changes the trajectory of everything. When she compared your spiritual signature to those ancient descriptions, she froze. It wasn't similar. It wasn't close enough. It was identical, as if the authors of those texts had seen you, exactly you, before. As if you've done this, been this, many times before, and each time, the entire world had shifted in ways historians couldn't explain but felt nonetheless, like a tremor underfoot that changes the path of a river forever. Here's the part that has been kept carefully from public knowledge. Your guardian communicated with some of them. Not in audible words or symbols, but in an undeniable transmission of knowing, something that bypassed their minds and landed straight in their bones. It told them, you are one of 12. 12 souls scattered like seeds across the planet, all protected by the same ancient intelligence, all waking piece by piece into their true identities. And when all 12 remember in full, when all 12 ignite at the same moment, the veil between worlds will not just thin, it will cease to exist. At that point, humanity will face a choice, evolve into something it can barely imagine, or remain behind in a reality that no longer belongs to it. The shamans, working quietly in back channels, began compiling what they called recognition signatures, the telltale signs of a soul carrying your kind of protection. First, electronics misbehave around you when you're emotional, not random glitches, calculated, almost intelligent malfunctions. Lights flicker in repeating sequences that look like coded transmissions. Phones display text you never typed. Screens glitch into patterns that feel like messages in a language you almost remember. Cameras in your presence capture shapes, flares, and figures that shouldn't exist. Shadows where there should be none, light where there should be darkness. Machines seem to almost understand you, like they're picking up a signal they can't fully decode. Second, animals respond to you with recognition, not instinct.
The online energy medicine training is a...
Second, animals respond to you with recognition, not instinct. Dogs stare for uncomfortably long stretches, as if they're watching you, not the body you're in. Cats bring you strange offerings, not prey but odd little artifacts, as if they found something in the in-between and decided it belongs with you. Birds track your movement, flying in formation overhead or perching nearby as though keeping silent watch. The shamans say this is because animals see in wavelengths and spectrums that humans cannot, and in those hidden bands of light, your true form bleeds through. Third, you bend probability itself. The shamans called it reality warping at the quantum level. Coincidences stack around you in ways that defy mathematics. People you think of unexpectedly reach out. Opportunities you need appear without you chasing them. Entire situations rearrange themselves to remove obstacles from your path. Outsiders call it luck. The shamans know better. It's your guardian adjusting the smallest variables to make sure you arrive exactly where you're meant to be, exactly when you need to be there. This is not the universe working for you. This is the universe working as you. Because at some level, that's exactly what you are. An expression of it. Condensed into temporary human form. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. If this video resonated with you,